Welcome, Divine. Welcome. You guys, the energy is still in the same space. We are still in those endings and beginnings. That Justin season, the union season, what you guys have kind of been I'm getting deeply desiring to happen. We are in that season. It's beautiful. I looked into the cards before, and we may look into it today. We'll see what happens today. But I looked yesterday. I said, okay, we're still there. So a lot of you might be experiencing some interesting times. So we're here to kind of channel through and see what that is. And supporting that, because ultimately the divine are manifestors, and it's interesting because many of you, when I'm getting you, recognize that you've been doing this a long time ago. Way before now, way before recognizing this journey and what it's about. And I'm getting the magic of it, the beauty of it, the blessing of it, the divine of it, that you recognize this some time ago. Some of you have really strong religious backgrounds, and I'm getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you knew to some level that there was an extension outside of you that you were connected to. I love it when the music goes an octane when I hit something. So we'll go back into that you knew that there was something outside of you that was a great, powerful force that you had a connection to. And I'm getting that, you recognize something and then something would happen and you'd be like, whoa, and this has happened throughout periods and times of your life. Many times, over and over. So this isn't new to you, It's just about it being true to you, which means that you walk in it. You walk in it as the essence of who you are, versus the inside secret that you have. And when I get by inside secret, it's, I know that I have this divine nature, that I have this awareness of things, and, that I'm connected to something and these things happen, but nobody else knows. Nobody else knows that I feel as divine as I truly am, and that I've had a divine connection for quite some time. And even going back to many of you with the strong religious backgrounds or ritual or practice or even heavy moral, ethical backgrounds, and even those who grew up in the arts of many varieties of spiritual nature, you recognized in prayer and in affirmation and in that desire and ritual towards wanting something to happen, and those little times when it did happen, and then those swanky times when it didn't happen, brought about those spirituality questions that you're answering now in this time. You're answering those questions. So it's like, okay, I have a belief because of this, but I got some questions, and then being in many of the religious or spiritual or even spiritual practices in your family units might have deterred from the spiritual and divine nature of the beings that many of you are, because it was that mix of humanness in it. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't align with this. But I do believe that there is something extended outside of me that I have a connection to. And I know it. So you've reached that point where you're recognizing that, because to be on a twin flame belief journey, then there has to be some type of connection to a higher sourcing power that you feel that allows you to hold this belief in knowing that there is energy. There is a powerful force of energy out there that is supporting you in a union. and also a powerful force of energy that seems to be interfering with the union. So it really brings the divine to their divine nature, because they're trying to figure this thing out. They're like, okay, what's happening here? This isn't like my other relationships. It's like, masculine meets feminine, and then we just go from here. It's like, this is different. This is different. I mean, all the forces of the world are involved in this. This feels so alive. This can connect through the radio. It can connect where I'm sitting in this moment. It can connect here. It has a connection to everything else, yet it can be physically separate. What is this? So it brings to that divine union that people say vows for. They say vows to have that 3-strand cord, which is that divine in between the union. That divine that can talk to this partner, and the divine that can talk to this partner, and the divine that can talk to each partner between the partners. That 3 cord that allows everything to come to you. Whenever there's agreement, anything is possible. Yeah, so this divine union is something, It has been prophesized in every arena. When we go to the business and success arena, it's like, okay, there is relationship, but also in relationship, there is, I need this partner to align with success. I need this partner to have that entrepreneurship spirit that I do, which is that creative center, which is that piece that many of the divine have. The divine have that creative center that flows outside of the divine. And, and you'll recognize it can be creative in all kinds of things, from crafting to artistry to business technically, to service medically, to the most, intricate, detailed creation of use, skill, or displayed beauty that you'll recognize. And I'm getting going along that description, and this is along the biblical religion, where it speaks of the Proverbs 31 woman. And it's like that woman, and it's so funny because that is the woman within the Bible that is described in connecting to the divine feminine, that it aligns with that female character in the Christianity religion along with the Bible. But this Proverbs 31 woman, and it's just like, when she's there, that her man says she's blessed, and he's blessed in the town because of her, and her kid says she's blessed, so everybody's blessed, and she has her own vineyards and money that she pays for and does stuff with. Plus she's also into the designs of making her clothes and the artifacts around the house, and plus she's in this beauty and she's glory. So it speaks of that multifaceted, multi-dimensional, multi-being of the divine feminine energy, and then that upheld of that divine masculine who sits in that honor, that person who is able to accept the love and the power of that being multiplied around them, but also they are sitting in their divine honor, that they can recognize the blessing and the beauty in that divine feminine energy and honor it and receive that love of it, and also sit in the honor amongst many, as someone who can give and receive and stand in their power, and they're admired, which is what a lot of the divine masculine energy is recognizing now, which is that, wow, to align with the divine feminine energy and the divine feminine energy's power doesn't diminish the divine masculine's power. No. It puts it on center stage. I'm getting it blast the power. It blasts the power. I don't don't know why I'm getting the aligning of people like a Jay-Z and a Beyonce blast of power, and it's not even looking into the fullness of the characters there, but I'm getting when you put those two natures together, and I'm getting music and a merger of what they were creating energy-wise in the planet. So what I'm getting is that this person has such an energy arsenal of what they've created in the planet, and this person has the energy arsenal of what they've created in the planet, and you put it together and you do blast, and I'm getting blast like out of the speakers, but it's really blast in the world. And what that can be is that divine feminine dominant energy in business or in service or in entrepreneurship, matching with that divine masculine energy that is also within those varied pursuits, and putting that power together is that there's nothing that you cannot have. There's nothing that you cannot have. So it's really not being a competing energy anymore, but being an energy that aligns in balance together to create a strong foundational platform to present within the earth. And that's when you get that generations and generations, of wealth and abundance. But that's in mental and emotional and physical. And it's like, wow, where did you see love? I saw love in my home. I felt love in my home, It was not necessarily having to go and seek that out. It's wow, it was already there for me, and just really being able to create those pods of loving energy where there's acceptance. And it's not that these people won't be human beings. Absolutely not. And that's what we have to understand as manifestation beings, that those towers were a training for the divine. They're training for divine to say, hey, this is sometimes how it goes down. I'm getting this sometimes how shit goes down. Yeah. So I'm getting that many times that those experiences happen so that things can align in the way that they need to align for you. So the truth can come out. So what's needed to be said can be said. What's needed to be revealed can come to light. Where if you believe in a belief journey where the darkness comes to light, and that's the benefit of being a light being. See, you're a light being because there's benefit in just being who you are. That's why this is the most honorable journey there is to take in growing and evolvement. In just being who you are. Truth comes to you. Light illuminates from you. Whatever is dark dissipates in the presence of you. So it's great honor to be able to be someone who can transform and transmute a situation into light, because that means that darkness can't live with you long. That's why people find that whenever they're in those really low states, they struggle in your presence. This is why there was such a rearranging with those friends and family ships. Absolutely. It had nothing to do with it. There was, something wrong. It was all about alignment. It was all about alignment. So what that looks like is that when you're presenting yourself in the light, that your presence alone illuminates many things for many people, which makes you yourself a healing agent, a walking healing agent. People will talk to you. People will navigate to you. People will honor you. And one of the things of the divine nature is to recognize that they are the divine nature. And that's what this is about. That's what this episode is about. You know, and of course, we're going to mix some stuff in with the divine feminine, divine masculine. You're going to always get those nuggets. You'll always get those nuggets to know where you are and to have that awareness to support you to ascend. That is there. That's there given to you as the gifting of your divine nature. That's what having that spiritual gifting is about. So you'll know what's going on. So yes, you're in the physical world, but you're tapped into the spiritual world, which is kind of that behind the scenes, the director side. And it's like, well, what are you doing back there? You know, and it's like the behind the scenes, so you can really see what's happening to support you in your evolvement while you're on the planet of Earth, being who you are. You're literally walking on a planet that is orbiting around in space. Nothing is grounding the Earth, which means that nothing is grounding you but you. Yes, we have so many gravitational laws, but in reality, we have those in place. Because when you look on the physical plane, it's just out there. It's just out there orbiting, you know? So, understanding that you align to all of this. I love it when that music goes an octane when you hit something. But you are aligning to all of this. Everything that is out here. And understanding your divine nature. And your divine nature aligns you with nature. Yeah. Let's, I like to look into the vortex cards. Get into the vortex cards. The cards of Abraham, Esther and Jerry Abraham. I think they are really good to start out a channel to see exactly what it is that we're being led to know today fully. If you're wondering, that's a sip of peppermint tea. So let's see. I always sometimes wonder what someone's drinking. If you drink in front of me, it's like, oh, what are you drinking? A peppermint tea. And I was looking to see if there was a messaging on here, because sometimes I do the teas that have a messaging on it. But even looking at this, what I'm getting is full circle. Full circle is on here. So that within itself is a message. So that's really keying in. And I'm getting full circle with you. Full circle with life. Which means that everything that you have went through, you're recognizing that it's bringing you around full circle to where you are today. Absolutely. That all of it has worked out for your good. And you're starting to recognize, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why that happened. And that's why those tower moments are so significant, because really that's what they bring out. It's like, oh. And all the dots get a chance to be connected and things get a chance to be aligned. Because essentially, if a tower has to happen where things have to fall down or fall apart, it means that it was not aligned in the way that it should have been. It means that it was not aligned in a way that serves you. So you're recognizing that's okay. That's okay. And you're recognizing that life is going full circle, because many of the things that happened before that you were holding, so many of those things that were happening before, you're recognizing that they were for just the time as this. Just the time as this. Full circle, because you were aligned to things that were not aligned in a way that served you. You were aligned to things that were not for you. You were aligned to things that, what I'm getting is that you hadn't even aligned fully to who you were, so you were aligned to things that didn't serve you. So many of those things that happened, it wasn't to leave that bitterness within inside of you. And you're releasing that. You're releasing that bitterness because you're starting to see the big picture of it all. That happened so I could develop into this person. And then I developed into this person. And I developed into this person. And you're recognizing that that is the ascension journey. That is the ascension journey. That each one of those experiences that you have, that it's elevating you and ascending you higher into being more of the being that you have desired to be. At some point in time, you prayed, affirmed, desired, or meditated throughout your journey of things that you wanted. And we don't even X out those past spiritual journeys. Yeah, you may not align to them now, but they taught you pieces of you. And you also put out there some hefty stuff that you wanted. And then many things happen to disalign you with the things that didn't align with what you said you wanted. So now you can be aligned with what does serve you, which is that full circle. So we did. We received a lot from that peppermint tea. It's good too. All right, so let's see if we can get a card out from the Vortex cards. They're pretty cool, and see if there's a message that comes from that. And we will mix up this time, and if there are any questions that you guys have that kind of come about that you want to ask, then we do that here, because it's important to get an understanding more and more of what your divine nature is. You're calling yourself a divine feminine and a divine masculine. And it's like, what does that mean? It means all of that stuff that led up to now, and all that stuff that's swanky about you that you've been doing, or that is being kind of hidden, is that divine nature. And you are beginning to embody more of that. So there is a shift and transition that's happening within you. That you are ascending and going into more of your divine nature. Many of the people that you've watched, the spiritual leaders, the teachers, and you get so many guides along your journey. So many guides along your journey. And it's not so much as it was before. Like, I love that I get to show up right here on this channel. And that's the coolest thing. But I remember when I would get my guides, it would be random. I'd be at the nail shop and I'd get a random guide, and it would be someone who doesn't even seem like they would be at the nail shop, for one, and that's just looking at 3D structure of the outside. So of course that's where the divine nature slips right on in. So you'll believe that it's divine because it doesn't make any sense. So that's how the divine nature shows up in the 3D constructs that we are surpassing now, where you see many of the earth is rising to begin to move in a 5-dimensional way about themselves. And 5-dimensional is simply accepting that there is a spiritual component to this thing. That there is a spiritual nature, there is a spiritual world. How do we know? Hello. We've been saying this over and over. You're right here seeing me through the tube, through the internet, through the electricity. There is the existence of that in which you don't see that holds a lot of power. We know that. We know that in being groomed every day. Groomed every day by the things that I just mentioned. You know, groomed every day by the things that I just mentioned, to begin to understand that there is a divine nature that is not something that you just speak unto. There is a divine nature that moves right now through the present day. And not only that, there's a divine nature that works through a very large grouping of people that are on this planet right now. That the divine nature works through them. No different than electricity goes right through to your phone and through the walls. That divine can go straight through those individual people. Yeah. And that's what we're moving into understanding. We're understanding the divine and the divine feminine and the divine masculine. That's what we're doing here. Let's see what we get here. I intend to see the best in everyone. You can never consistently motivate anybody to anything. But when you see the best of them and you go over to where your version of the best of them is, and you align with that and offer one signal, now you are part of the inspiration you see. Have you ever had that experience yourself when someone sees you and loves you and expects the best of you? Do you not shine in ways you never shined before? And do you not find it really hard to shine when another does not look for the best in you? I know what this is about. And I bet you guys know what this is about too. It's really time for some perspective shifts. Okay? And I'm getting, biblical is coming so heavy today in this, you know. And I pull from many, because once you get to this divine nature, you understand that all things work together for our good. And it is about the supreme being, and that everyone and everything, and including yourself, is telling the story of your divine experience that shows up in many of the religious and spiritual practices today. So we honor them all, that they are communicating to us the story that there is a divine nature here on this planet. And then we say we receive it. We know there's a divine nature. We're living it. We're living that life, you know, and we're grateful that that was the introduction to the life. So honing into that, what's coming to me is within that Ecclesiastes, where's the time for everything? So yes, there's a time for speaking that truth and honoring that truth to align, to make sure that your self-love and you as a being and your relationships and things align to serve you and who you are. But then there also is another time as well for that forgiveness, for that grace, for that understanding, for that compassion, for that love. And that is for yourself. And then it'll naturally be to others. And what that looks like and what I'm getting from this says, you can never consistently motivate anybody to anything. But when you see the best of them and you go over to where that version of them is and align with that, you offer the signal. You are a part of the inspiration that is now seen, which that is the manifestation. So that is how you transform that dark into light. So it's like, well, I don't like that nature of them. Well, what is the nature of them you like? Well, then you focus on that nature. That is what you see. That is what you address. You don't align to the other one at all. Thought, mind, body, spirit, emotionally, you align. You align with that around that. And that is how you transform it. So, yes, it takes a little bit of work to do that. A little bit of work to do that. But like this started out saying, where the card starts out on the back and it says, I intend to see the best in everyone. So you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. Because surrendering has stages to it. So surrendering says, I understand that I cannot change the nature in which that they have arrived. Yeah. Surrendering says, I cannot change the nature in which they have arrived. Well, then what can I do? Yes, this video cut off, but it cut off at the perfect question of, okay, well then what? So I was able to go and do a download that won't have any interruption to it. And uniquely enough, I was able to, I have a thinkific school that many of you do know that I do hold a PhD. So teaching and then transforming over to spiritual teaching has been my thing. But I've already had teachings before, but I've saw where I can upload some of these downloads into the thinkific school and charge you guys a price that's significant to my compliment, so you won't have the interruption. And yes, it is valued more than that. Of course it is. So, but you know what you can pay, and you know what the value is to you, and it's different for each person. Meaning there are people in my life that touch me in momentary moments, and it is invaluable. The pricing is just woo. And when I say invaluable, I mean invaluable to the place of there is no money price on it. There is no limitation to the value for me. So yes, specific to me and my counterpart, my compliment, the number is 914. But afterwards, if there is a price that is set for you, then you can go back, and you can pay your own price of additional afterwards, after the download. If it was more to you, you can go back and you can pay 94. You can at 10 or 9,410. I have found that many people receive the information and then they come back after there's changes in their life. I love how I recognize the changes in the compliments in the comments. Well, yeah, and the compliments from you guys through YouTube. I am honored and I appreciate them. So the golden mission for me, is really the same as you guys, but also to be able to put this information out there that I was going to do anyway. So yes, it is a hefty charge to have me personally because, hey, it's me. But when I create this work, it is beautiful to be able to offer this work despite, and then you pay what you choose to pay for this work. So it's beautiful to be able to do that. It's beautiful to be able to do that. And it's an honor to be able to do that. And you'd be surprised at how it balances out. That there is no difference between that 914 and that 9,014. The only difference is the person behind who is submitting the amount and where they are and what they are able to put in at that time period. So I love the idea that came to me to set the price significant between me and my compliment and let that amount reign. And yes, it might seem inexpensive, but what that does is also allowing that set your own price that you come back afterwards. After you've received what you received in hearing it, you have the option to go down on my site, go in the description, and you're able to pay an additional amount on what you received out of it that you choose. You choose. So yes, the initial price does support the processing on the Thinkific school, but this is something that I was going to do and that I was led to do. So afterwards, what you get out of it, the same way you provide those comments, let me know those changes that have happened in your life. It's an honor for that. It's an honor for that. So I was able to do an additional download, and this one is titled Embrace Your Neediness. And you would be surprised at the way that neediness is described in this download in the heightened way, in a natural way. And it really shows how it shows up in a relationship with a divine union. But not only that these points are triggered on purpose, but that they are to be resolved differently in a divine union. So it is a beautiful depiction of what 3D structures have actually judged or labeled in a way, that this channeling, it shows an embracing that adds right on into this reading that we did this morning in the divine manifest. So I look forward to seeing you guys soon. I do. And the golden mission is union within, then union with others. So check out that download in the description that really complements this reading, that also supports in your union with your complement, with yourself and another.